Welcome, friends. I am so happy to be back with my teacher and mentor and guide, truly divinely guided, Dr. Lorin Roche, who's going to talk with us about his new book. His new books, not just one book, but two books that he has been prolifically writing and channeling this entire lockdown period. Welcome, Lorin. So great to see you.
So good to see you. So Breathtaking is a book that I wrote while out in the ocean off of Malibu. I like to take long swims through the sharks and dolphins and sea kelp. And so I have a friend who's also a student of breath. So we would be out, we'd swim for a while, and then pause like a quarter mile offshore, and then talk about breathing. And so that's how I came up with the flow of the book.
This book, I can't wait to get my hands on. I know you're going to offer this online, but Breathtaking, so beautiful, just the title. What inspired you to keep that title for the book to start with?
To play on words, and that it's also, when we use the word breathtaking, usually we're talking about something so beautiful that it takes our breath away. She was so beautiful that it was breathtaking. We hiked to the top of the mountain, and when we got there, we looked out over this vista, and it was breathtaking. And like the music was so beautiful that it took my breath away. So we used that conversationally. And so it's that play on words. So if there's a word like mindfulness, you want to play with it. Well, what do they really mean? And if you talk to some of the teachers, what they're really talking about is sensefulness. They're talking about paying attention through your senses. It's just they're kind of embarrassed about bodies and embarrassed to say that it's sensuous.
Wow.
So mindfulness does work as a kind of a cover, a camouflage for this intimate personal experience.
Wow. So the breath is so profound. And I remember studying with you, when we take a breath, we're always guided, whether it's you teaching or Camille, that it is like, it's more than oxygen, it is nourishment. You're drawing in nutrition into the body.
Breathing is this incredible invention that the Earth as a planet has been working on for billions of years. And all over the world, the world is mostly ocean. It's about 70% water. And in the water all over the world are these tiny microscopic creatures. And their breathing is they breathe in carbon dioxide. All the plants on land and in the ocean, they breathe in carbon dioxide. That's their breathing. And they absorb sunlight. So the trees and the grasses and the phytoplankton in the ocean, they breathe in carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide is CO2. So it's a carbon atom and two oxygen atoms. And then they receive the impact, the energy of the sun. So in a sense, they're all worshiping the sun, and they're letting the sun strike them, and photons from the sun hit those molecules, and it gives energy to the molecule, and it breaks the bond. So they have carbon and oxygen, and they breathe out that oxygen. So they're actually sun-taking. They're absorbing sunlight and carbon dioxide, and then they liberate the extra oxygen. And then we breathe that in. So when we breathe, we're actually part of this cycle, the sun shining on the ocean and all the green plants of the world, and creating this ocean of air that we're living in. It's about 21% oxygen and mostly nitrogen and some carbon dioxide. So it's magic. We're breathing in exchange with the whole planet and with the sun. It actually takes the whole solar system for us to breathe the breath. And we're all breathing about 20,000 times a day. You can time your breath if you want. We're breathing 22,000 times a day. Babies breathe maybe 40,000 times a day. They breathe really fast. And breath is substance. It's actually, the breath goes into our lungs and then it spreads out throughout the entire body almost immediately. And it's part of how the body stays warm. It feeds, the breath feeds the fires of the body. So let's play with breath. Sigh. We'll just simply sigh, like a natural sigh. Like you've seen kids do this, you've seen athletes do this. So play with sighing. So I'm going to time 60 seconds. So let's play with sighing for 1 minute. That's 45 seconds.
Such a release and such a high at the same time.
Relief and a high. Yeah, so that's not even 1 minute. So notice what's changed. And notice that you can invoke relaxation in your body in 1 minute. You can actually change your physiological state. Your body chemistry will have changed. Your mental state will have changed. And even if only 1%, that's good when you want little changes. If you can make even a 1%, a barely noticeable change in 1 minute, then you're really on to something.
I mean, it was less than a minute that I start feeling a shift.
Yeah, and bodies are built that way. Say we think of something scary, or that we get a ding on our phone, and there's something designed to scare us, like, oh no, this happened, or something happened with my friend, or we hear a sound that sounds scary. In less than 1 second, the body mobilizes to deal with it. Like adrenaline is released, and the body goes through an entire world of changes to gear up to like deal with whatever it is, to like confront something or run away or hide or make a plan, or like what ooh. You can see dogs do this, like the dog will hear a sound, what, like that. So the body responds to stress in less than a second, and it responds to relaxation in the same way. In a sense, breathtaking mindfulness meditation is about taking charge of your own relaxation response. And it's the same channels that make us stressed. And stress is good. It just that if you're amped up all the time, especially from fantasy stressors, it's exhausting and can break down your immune system. But basically, stress is good. It's a wonderful response. And so is meditation. So if you learn skills, you can balance the alarm response and the relaxation response. That's what it's about. And your life will be much more fun.
Which is why these skills are so important. Now, in this book, are you sharing a lot of those skills with people? What is it that you were aching to share through this book?
Breathtaking is, I'm using no jargon. It's like, let's just take a breath. So it's about 200 pages, and each page is a little exploration you can do. Like, when do you really, really enjoy breathing? And it's things like, are you like addicted to vaping? Is it, what's fun about vaping? Is it breathing in cherry flavor? Or is it a little bit of THC? Is it when you breathe, it feels magic? Okay, can you transfer that alertness, that breath is magic, to just plain breathing until you don't need to vape anymore? Or if you smoke cigarettes, can you just go outside and just breathe, smoke the air? Can you substitute that for smoking a product? If you love gardening, and that's when you breathe most naturally. It's like you're there tending to the flowers and the plants, and sometimes you'll lean down and you'll take a leaf of some herb. That is a beautiful breathing practice. That is as good as it gets, to be gardening and do that. And the world is full of secret meditators. You'll see people, if you live in a place where there's old people gardening, they're on their knees and they'll reach down and take a leaf of some herb and crush it and smell. That is a breath meditation. That is reverence. And they're just there like invisibly. And people that have kids and dogs, they'll take the kids out and run them until they're ragged and exhausted. Or they'll take the dog for a long walk. And I've heard people, it's so beautiful to hear a woman say, like, my favorite time of the day is I'll stand at the door of the bedroom and watch my sons breathe. I'll just watch them breathe. And a mother would stand there in the evening watching the children sleep. And it's holy. That's sacred. That is reverence. That is profound meditation, probably as profound as anything, as Buddha under the Bo tree. And people will take the dog for a walk, and then the dog will curl up somewhere and go to sleep. And people describe just watching the dog breathe and going into rapture. So breath awareness is a hummingbird just flew up to the window and is looking in like, hey, what's going on? Breath awareness is something that's available to everyone. And you have your own favorite ways. Discover them. And lots of your favorite ways are so informal that it's like, how could that even be a technique? That's just me. And also they'll feel like vices, like drugs and sex and other mischievous things, whatever besides drugs and sex would there be? Can't think of anything. So what's wild about breathing is that we're all breathing, say 20, 22, 23,000 times a day or more. And when all goes well, we're never conscious of breathing. We just, because it all works so well. And then we can develop vices or habits, like say smoking. Why is it so interesting? Well, actually, just when smokers are aware of breath, at least for a couple minutes a day, they'll go out, smokers will go outside at midnight in the storm to breathe. And at any time, you can just say, you know what, I'm going to consciously join with breath. I'm going to surf the breath. I'm going to cherish the breath. I'm going to grab the breath. And you can dial in soothingness and relaxation and also excitement. And actually what breath really likes is for you to do both, one after the other. Soothingness or relaxation and excitation. Breath actually likes for you to do both, alternating every few seconds. Relaxation, excitement, relaxation, and excitement.
So I have to ask you a question. As a practitioner of yoga and a yoga teacher, we went through so many different types of pranayam. How do you feel about pranayam? Because I personally like what you're suggesting. I have a way of breathing that I enjoy that may not be a pranayam breath. It's just my deep belly breathing that really relaxes me. How do you feel about all those different forms of breathing?
Well, I love them. I, in my meditation teacher training, did just tons of pranayama. There's a mistake in terms of educational process of laying techniques on people that feel artificial without giving them a chance to explore naturalness. So there's a domination and submission thing that goes on in what we think of as yoga. It's partly because in the monastic traditions, and the yoga comes primarily from these monastic traditions, there's a lot of groveling, there's a lot of domination, submission. And because it's primarily for monks, for recluses. If you live in the world and have a job, a home, and friends, you need for your meditation practices to be completely natural. And not feel like a technique that you borrowed from an ancient culture. You want to feel no, this is just me. I like to breathe this way. And I know so many people who've studied yoga, particularly women who studied yoga for many years, and it still feels like a technique. When they practice, you can see them. It's actually like when a woman puts on a girdle, like people don't wear girdles anymore, but they used to just strap themselves into these girdles and put themselves into a shoe that hurts. And then all these things that they think makes them look good, but they're so uncomfortable. So that's a problem in terms of instruction protocols. It is making people feel uncomfortable in that their natural self is bad. And so one thing that happens with all self-help, all meditation and yoga is that it's actually clobbering us with the shame. It's another message that your natural self is wrong and that you have to improve yourself. You have to do a kind of plastic surgery on yourself to make yourself acceptable. So
I gave up pranayama a long time ago. I studied the book, I practiced all the bhastrika, it just didn't speak to me, it didn't resonate with me. I just like a natural deep belly breathing. That just works for me. And that's what I teach as well. Because it has to be a personal experience. It has to feel personal and natural to you.
There's nothing more intimate than breathing. Just now, you and I, all of us, we breathe in air that a second ago was part of the ocean of air surrounding the world. It came in, our lungs greedily absorbed the oxygen, and your red blood cells just carried it to every cell of your body. There's nothing more intimate than that. Breathing a regular breath is more intimate than sex.
And I'm loving what you're saying. Breath is taking that breath, that one subtle act of just feeling your breath as it travels into your body and awakens your senses. That invitation is reverence. That is devotion. I love that, Paul.
Yeah,
That is
so let's go with that. Let's be reverent towards breath for a minute. So in your own natural way, like you could say, this breath is a gift from the universe, or this breath is a gift from God. Like in the Old Testament or in Genesis, it's like, and God, Elohim, breathed into man's nostrils a breath of life, and the human being became a living soul. So you could breathe with the sense that God is breathing into me the breath of life. You could also say, my own soul, this breath is the breath of my soul. So let's, in our own way, have a reverent attitude towards breathing for 1 minute. Gratitude, adoration, reverence, receiving the gift of breath.
feels like a bridge to the divine, this breath.
So notice, so that was about 45 seconds. So Tanya's cycle right now is about 40 seconds. She'll go in, perceive an experience, and then cognize it, like have an insight. And because she's a writer and a teacher and a poet and a dancer, she'll have the experience and then want to express it. So that rhythm, it actually is also part of what you want to be embracing in meditation. So if I don't have my favorite things here. Look at my markers. They're over there. I don't want to leave. So there's an in and out rhythm. And this is one of the simple principles in meditation, mindfulness, breathing that you want to accept. That you'll have your own rhythm and it'll change each time. But what strange, what Tanya was doing this twice was when I would say, okay, let's do something for a minute, she would go in and have an experience and feel the tingle of it. She'd feel the tingle of it. And then probably after 40 seconds, she'd think, oh, that's beautiful. So for 5 seconds, the energy would condense into some expression of gratitude, awe, wonder. And then she'd speak it at about 45 seconds. So that's a rhythm. And this rhythm, get to know it. And it changes. Like when I've been on long retreats for 3 months or 6 months, and if you could go away for 3 months or 6 months and practice meditation on a hillside, you'd probably experience it too. The rhythm can get very long, where you'd like go in and stay deep in meditation for half an hour or an hour and just be there, but almost not thinking, just perceiving beauty. But day to day, when we meditate at home, the cycle is more often 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. and it'll start to slow down after you've been meditating, say for 10 minutes, might slow down to 90 seconds, 120 seconds. But you want your speed to be free to move. A common mistake among people practicing any of these techniques, if they'll immediately think, oh, that's bad, my mind is wandering. And I think it's better to not meditate at all than to install yet more shame onto your inner life. It's the last thing that a woman needs. It's more things to be ashamed about. Oh, my mind moves too fast.
This technique that you just did with me, my entire body is shaking with vibrancy. And I just want to say that this is the joy of working with you and studying with you, because in the you really direct our attention to the simple, the subtle, the most profound. And in that, there is so much information.
There's so much information.
I wasn't cognizant of the fact that I need to speak my reverence that I'm experiencing, but you just gave me back a blueprint of how my inner world functions.
Yeah. Yeah. For people that live in the world, which is over 99% of us, it's actually a success of meditation if you tune in for a while and then you sort of want to jump up and write something, say something, do something, speak something. You could meditate for a minute and say, oh my God, I've got to, whatever it is, got to write my Uncle Sue and tell her how much I loved her, or, clean up the kitchen, or write a song. That's a success. Your meditation lasted for 45 seconds. That's a win. For people who live in the world, this is essential. It's only for people who live in caves that they need to break the connection of meditation and passion. It's only for people that are off living in a cave.
This book is valuable. How are we going to be able to get our hands on this book? Because just 2 techniques from this book right now, and my entire energy has shifted. So how do you...
LorinRoche.com.
Okay.
Just poke around. It'll be right there.
And it'll be published soon, or is it available already?
It's just going to be available as a PDF or as an ebook.
So I can't stress this enough. You guys have to get your hands onto this book. And if you get a chance, I've been studying with Lorin Roche for 10 years, and I cannot tell you that every time I sit with him, I discover something new about myself and my path. He's training now online these days because of COVID. He's available. There are workshops that he's going to be offering, him and Camille. You guys have to check him out. I mean, you have to work with him. If you want to go to a deep place, a place of healing, a place of transformation, and a place of living and thriving in a really juicy, enriched way, he's your man. I cannot stress this enough. Thank you, Lorin, so much.
Thank you, Tanya.
Love
All right. That feels like a wrap.
It is, yeah. And
It's
that's
a wrap. And feel free to get in touch with me, just LorinRoche.com.
Yeah, he's very responsive on email as well. Bye, guys.